The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
This is Gerard with episode number 40. Wow, a Florida's fresh mix on the Florida Podcast Network, a random mix of Florida's freshest personalities. Listen into this one, y'all.
Hey everyone, welcome to Florida's Fresh Mix podcast. My name is Amber and I'm the lead content producer of the Florida Podcast Network. Of course, we have your host, Gerard. Gerard, say hello to the people.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Hey, you're gonna love this one. I'm telling you.
Oh, for sure. Because for the first time ever, Gerard, you had the chance to interview not one, not two, but three very special guests. They were the winners of this year's United States of America Miss Florida Pageant, and their names are Tiffany Chavez, Jasmine Johnson, and Vida Hargrett. Okay, now you might have noticed I just said winners, and you might be thinking, why are there three winners for a pageant? Okay, well, don't worry. They're going to get all into that nitty-gritty. They're going to explain how that all works. But basically, it's three different categories that these ladies get to compete in. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Let me ask you a question. Did that really just happen? You know, just interviewing one Florida pageant winner would have been astounding. Did we just interview three? Is that what just happened? I mean, I'm like, do I need to pinch myself?
Maybe. Yes, Gerard, that just happened, okay? This is a super special episode 40. We would have nothing less. And shout out to the United States of America Miss Florida Pageant rep, Britt Skoll, who reached out to me on Facebook, Florida Podcast Network Facebook group. If you don't know, you need to know. But that's how she found out about us. And if anyone has any other guest recommendations, we would love to hear them. So you can contact us on all of our social medias. You can find us on Instagram at Fresh Mix Podcast or the Florida Podcast Network on Facebook. We would love to hear your suggestions.
That's exactly right. And I loved talking to these lovely ladies who have such diverse backgrounds, and they're from different places in the great state of Florida. From Tampa, Winter Haven. Mrs. Hargrett is from Boynton Beach, which is where my family lives. So we connected on that level. But such different perspectives. But you know what was very consistent? They were all very lovely, and they're doing things that are beyond just pageantry and just, looking pretty, right? I mean,
right.
Which is, kind of the point of the pageant, right? So just get right into it and listen to these three dynamic women express the pageantry and how that's affected their lives and how they use it to promote the causes they support and hold dear. So I'm very excited for people to hear this one.
Oh yeah, for sure, Gerard. I mean, like you said, it's more than just getting up on stage and looking pretty in a nice gown, which they did do, but they are true humanitarians.
No doubt, they're winners.
Yeah. They are humanitarians, so they get all into their community service and what they're passionate about beyond pageantry. So it's a great conversation, people. And I gotta say, I'm just gonna address the elephant in the room real quick, okay? If you haven't noticed how beautiful and crisp my voice sounds right now, yes, I'm hyping myself up. Gerard, I'm hyping you up too. You sound amazing. That's because we are no longer on Zoom. Rest in peace, Zoom. We are forever now.
Pour out a little liquor.
Pour out a little liquor for Zoom. You came in clutch for 39 episodes.
Yes, we appreciate y'all. We appreciate you, Zoom. Yeah, okay.
But we're trying to move up in the world, okay? The world of podcasting.
We got to look out for self. Yeah.
Exactly. So now we are forever recording on Riverside.fm. We absolutely love Riverside. We are transitioning with all of our other shows on the Florida Podcast Network, like Techsploration. So definitely tune into that one. But if you are a podcaster and you're interested in trying to find a better recording platform that will fit all of your podcasting needs, you won't have to worry about those signal cuts like what happens on Zoom pretty much every time. And for editors out there, you know what I'm talking about. So check out the show notes and you'll find a link to riverside.fm and really take your podcast to the next level, like we're doing.
Isn't this show, hasn't it always been primarily about self-improvement? And that's exactly what we're doing using Riverside, right? Right, Amber?
Exactly. How could we talk about self-improvement and not improve the audio of the show?
There you go. Now you know what I want to talk about now, right?
I think I do, Gerard. Go for it.
Okay, all right. Everyone, listen, if you haven't heard about it before, Guitars Over Guns is a charity that is very, very near and dear to me, particularly because we have our Choose Your Sound Gala coming up, which is our major fundraiser of the year. So if you'd like to attend the gala, please contact me. In the show notes is all my information. And if you can't attend, please feel free to donate using my donation page. And if you have any questions, please contact me directly. It's an amazing charity of which I am very blessed to be on the board of directors that uses music to help kids express themselves, find community, get mentorship, and really help them enhance their lives and find a sense of belonging. And I can't think of anything better than music to do that. So let me not go on and on, because I could go on and on forever, because this interview is so great. Let's get right to it, Amber.
All right, Gerard. And now here is Gerard's conversation with the winners of this year's Miss Florida pageant, Tiffany Chavez, Jasmine Johnson, and Vida Hargrett.
And the winner is this podcast.
Woohoo!
Let's do it. Woohoo! All right. Fresh mixers. Let me tell you, I know I do this all the time. I say this all the time. I'm super excited about this interview, blah, blah, blah. But listen, this time I'm beyond excited because this is such a unique interview, a unique opportunity. We're here with bona fide Florida pageant winners on the mic with me today. Okay, we're talking about winners of the United States of America's Miss Florida pageant. Okay, so I'm saying 3 different pageants, 3 different winners. We're here with Miss Tiffany Chavez, Ms. Jasmine Johnson, and Mrs. Vida Hargrett in the building. Well, not literally, but on the mic with Gerard. I am so happy. How y'all ladies doing in no particular order? How's it going?
So far, so good.
All right. And a shout out to Brittany Skull for making this happen. Let's just dive in. And I want to do something a little different today, because usually we kind of start with, my guest's origin story and kind of build up temporally to how they got to where they are now. I want to do the reverse, because I want to get into the crux of pageant life, how unique of a world that is. But before we dive into that, let me ask each of you. Let me start with Tiffany. What is the most important thing about you that people should know that has absolutely nothing to do with pageantry?
Most important thing that has nothing to do with pageantry. I'm actually a Toyota sales pro. I hit pro status last year. I sell cars for a living. And that was something really cool. It has absolutely nothing to do with pageantry, but it was a really big accomplishment. It's a really big deal in the Toyota world. So it was, I'm really proud and like to tote that when I can.
What are the criteria for becoming a pro? Is it the number of cars you sell, or is it something else?
So it's a mix of a few things. So you have to sell a certain amount of cars. You have to have a certain amount of customer satisfaction. You have to be also master certified in the product. And there's a few other little things, but you have to basically get enough points. And then you have to also be the top 300 with those points. And then you can hit pro, and you get a lot of cool stuff that comes along with it too.
Okay. All right. Congrats. All right. I'm loving that. All right. Now, Jasmine, tell me, what do people need to know about you? It has nothing to do with pageantry.
Nothing to do with pageantry outside of my kitchen. My home gym is my happy place. Mm-hmm. I am a certified nutritional specialist and personal trainer. And after losing over 70 pounds now, I was almost 200 pounds at my heaviest weight. And I just try to teach all of my clients that it's really not about the number on the scale. It's about how you feel in your skin. I believe in fit over skinny. That's probably the most important thing I would say, not including any pageantry at all. I just love to get in there, get a sweaty workout and make myself feel strong. And that's what I like to share with everybody else too. So I think that's my thing.
That's great. Well, we share that in common. I've got a home gym. I love to work out as well. And when I went, what? It wasn't because of the weight you were. It's because of the amount of weight you lost, you know? So, and I love what you said about being comfortable in your skin. Because look, personally, I don't care how much someone weighs. As long as you feel comfortable in your skin and you're being healthy, you know, beauty comes in all shapes and sizes. And I want to make sure that people don't misinterpret my reaction. I am just like, that's astounding, that accomplishment. All right. I love that. That's great. All right, Mrs. Vida. Now, what do people need to know about you? It has nothing to do with pageantry. Go.
Oh, my goodness. A good question. I'm going to have to piggyback off of what Jasmine stated about being comfortable in your own skin. For me, what that looks like is it stems from cheerleading. I have cheered my entire life from grade school all the way up to college. I cheered all 4 years. I was in the halftime Pro Bowl show in Honolulu, Hawaii as an All-American cheerleader, Miami Dolphins finalist with their cheerleading squad. And I currently coach at the University of Fort Lauderdale as a college cheerleader. For me, the sport has just evolved tremendously from where it was to where it is today. And I love being able to see that. But it's even bigger than that. You know, I once suffered with low self-esteem. A lot of people wouldn't realize that because I'm just, you know, so aware of who I am and the things around me. But, you know, in middle school, I think it was, I was at a point in my life where I just, you know, I didn't like the person that I was. I didn't like the person that I saw in the mirror. And cheerleading really transitioned that for me. You know, it taught me discipline. It taught me self-awareness and to learn to love myself for who I am. And obviously pageantry has evolved that tremendously, but it was really the sport of cheer that did that for me. And I will be forever grateful.
That's great. Now, Vida, are you a true doll fan or was that just a gig?
Oh, no, I am a doll fan. Do you hear me?
You must. Okay. You're coming to me. I love it. So you must
serious.
You must be happy. You must be thrilled and surprised as I am about the current season.
Absolutely. Did you catch that last game?
Is the sky blue? Okay.
We're just gonna leave that right there.
We'll leave it right there. 3-0, baby. 3-0.
That's right.
Okay. I'm not a fair weather fan. All right. I'm loving it. All right. So, what are the kind of things that being a pageant winner allows you to do that you otherwise would not be able to do? I mean, like, well, first of all, let's start with some basic facts. I don't understand how all this works. The three of you won 3 different pageants. Do those things happen at the same time, or is it different? Let me ask Jasmine. How does that actually work before we get into my other question?
So, well, with this particular pageant, with our state pageant, we did all compete essentially together, and that the show itself is one show, but we're all in 3 different divisions. So we're not competing against each other. Now, when we get to nationals in Vegas, it'll be a little bit different because, of course, there will be more women in each division, but still the same thing or the same concept. It's one big pageant, and then we're all scored within our groups.
Okay. And when was the prior pageant where you guys all won?
This was actually September 11th, and it was in DeLand at the Athens Theater.
Thank you for that info. And so let me ask Mrs. Vida, being a pageant winner at this time, what does it allow you to do that you otherwise would not be able to do?
In all honesty, pageantry affords us the opportunity to just have a broader audience, right? I think I speak for all 3 of us when I say, you know, we're philanthropists. We're able to get out in our communities and, you know, have our voices heard. But being a title holder just affords you a bigger microphone. You know, I know myself, I'm the national spokesperson for the Mesothelioma Awareness Foundation. You know, I've partnered with the National Alliance of Mental Illness, and there's been a lot of advocacy that I've been able to do, you know, traveling throughout the state and the nation in some instances. But as a title holder, people are just more willing and open to listening. You know, they want to hear what you have to say. Personally, I've had the opportunity to sit in news stations. I mean, even being here with you, having this opportunity to sit and speak to your podcast, it just affords us more of an opportunity just to have our voices heard on a higher platform.
Excellent, excellent. I take that as a compliment. Flattery will get you everywhere with me. All right. So Miss Tiffany, how about you? What kind of things are you able to do now that you otherwise would not be able to do since you're now a title holder?
So same thing as kind of what Vida said. It gives you a really big audience, which is really great because we are all philanthropists. And we have something that we're working on and promoting and trying to bring awareness to. And you would be surprised when you walk into a room and you have a giant crown on your head, everyone stops and they want to ask why. And that gives you your 30-second elevator pitch, and you can tell them exactly why you're there, which is really cool. And most of the time, they're really listening and they want to know more. And, you can direct them to your social media accounts, which now we get the official USOA Miss Florida social media accounts and have lots of followers. So they can see, who we are and follow our journey and also learn more about what we're doing, which is really great. We also get, cool opportunities like this so we can spread our message and just bring more awareness to what we're trying to do.
That's great. And I love the fact that you mentioned elevator pitch. So I'm going to put you on the spot now because we share a common passion, which is Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I was a member for a very long time. And I met my little brother in the Miami-Dade branch when he was 8, and now he's 26, and we're, thick as thieves. And so what is your pitch for Big Brothers, Big Sisters? Go, 30 seconds.
So I haven't got to be a big sister just yet, but I get to work with them through my work. I'm part of the Asbury Cares program here. And basically every year we get to pick a new charity that we help donate to, volunteer with. And so I've got to do some of the events and just kind of help out behind the scenes and watch while I'm still waiting for my little sister to, one day be paired with me. But it's just really cool. And I also got to watch my brother did it before me. And I got to see all the really cool stuff he did there. And just being in this area, we do have, because I'm in Tampa, we have, kids that can really use this program and need someone with a positive role model they can look up to. So I'm still working on becoming a big sister, but it's a really cool program that I've enjoyed so far.
Trust me, you will reap rewards that you could have never dreamed of. Most people think of it as a volunteer program where you're giving, but you get more than you give. It's tremendous. We're going to include links to your passion projects in the show notes. And we know that I'm slightly biased towards Big Brothers Big Sisters, but you all, I know that you're all promoting, different things that are all extremely worthwhile. So speaking of that, Ms.Jasmine, tell me what are you able to do now that you otherwise would not be able to do? And please tell us your passion project.
So akin to what the other ladies were saying, when you have the crown on your head, people lean in a little bit more. They are a lot more intrigued with what you have to say, even if really they aren't listening, even if all they're doing is looking at you. You've got their attention. And with people's short attention spans, you only have a short window to be able to draw them in and attract them. And when you put a crown on your head and you're wearing something amazing and you're feeling great about yourself, people believe you a little bit more. So for me, this has opened up a platform for me to be able to tell my own story. I am a sexual assault survivor. And since I was 19 years old, I have been trying to share the 1 in 5 statistic with people. And that is that 1 in 5 women will become victims of sexual assault before they turn 20. So now I work with the Worth More Nation Project. They are a nonprofit pageant. And what they do is crown each and every girl that they work with on stage and also provide mentorship throughout her entire reign. It's not competitive at all. So there's nothing, the pageant itself is more so about confidence building and giving these girls an opportunity to be able to explore who they are, share their own unique stories, and feel good about themselves while they're doing it. So I've actually been collecting beauty bags in my community so that I can send to ladies throughout the state so that they can add to their own crown boxes. And then just adding personal messages to each one. That's something that I did at the state pageant this year, was handwriting little notes to each of the ladies just so that they knew that they're not alone in this. And that's what I love about pageantry. Even though we all have a passion that we're interested in, or a platform that we're sharing, we're all in it together. We're all sister queens at the end of the day. And you have a group, a community already embedded of people who are going to support whatever it is you believe in. If it's basket weaving, if it's cancer, if it's the 1 in 5 statistic like me, it's a really small girl gang. That's what I'll say it is. Pageantry is more like a very glamorous girl gang than anything.
Well, that's a phrase I totally love, girl gang. I'm totally psyched about it. I'm totally going to steal that. And I'm not going to give you any credit at all. I might even
just make sure you tag.
No, I love that. I love that. Okay. So great answers. And we're going to promote all of those efforts. And I love the visibility into how even just being winners in this first step has dramatically changed your ability to get the word out about these things that you're passionate about. And I think that's great. So, Mrs. Vida, does being a pageant winner, does holding this title, does it affect your average day? And if it does, then what does your average day look like?
Oh, yes, tremendously. But just like with anything else, you have to know what you're getting into before you sign up for it, right? Mm-hmm. So, even before jumping into a pageant, or say for this particular state pageant, my husband and I, we do everything together. We sat down, we made a vow that this is something that I wanted to do. And we mapped out what our year is going to look like if I were to win. So pre-planning is definitely key. And just having balance, I think, is pivotal. For me, I wear many hats. I'm a mother of 2.
Wait. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm not into interrupting people normally, but I have to ask you, you pre-planned if you were going to win. Did you just have that much confidence? I mean, that's pretty... that's pretty... my ears perked up. I'm like, wait, did she just say what I think she just said? Like...
Absolutely. Listen, for one, you have to be optimistic, glass half full type of female here. And, it's a 50-50 chance. Either you're going to walk away the winner or you're not. Right. But there's still.
That's not 50-50. I graduated with honors in economics from Harvard. Okay. I know that's not 50-50. How many people were you up against?
There were 5 of us total in the Mrs. division. And it was some amazing, hear me out, some amazing contestants. Really, really great competition. But there still was that chance that I could walk away as Mrs. Florida.
Okay.
So in knowing that, you have to plan for that. And I think that's just a part of me being a mom. As moms, we plan everything out. So, we sat down and we mapped it out. I walked away with much favor as Mrs. Florida. So we have mapped out what the year looks like. But even more with that, just having that support system is huge for me. Like I said before, I wear many hats. I'm a mother of 2, head cheerleading coach. I work for, headquarters for a notable airline. There's so much that I do, in the pageant world, community service based. You have to have that support system. And my husband, I have to credit him. He's always right by my side in everything I do. If I have to fly out for an appearance, he takes on the household. He makes sure the kids are okay. He makes sure Brooklyn gets to her cheerleading practices and so on and so forth. So just making certain for me as a Mrs., I have that support of my spouse and I understand the importance of prioritizing is key.
Excellent. Fantastic. And it's great that you've got that support and you had the foresight to plan ahead. I'm loving all of that. All right. Now, how about you, Ms.Jasmine? Does it affect your typical day? And if so, what does your day look like?
I would say yes, it definitely affects my typical day, and primarily because I was an educator for 7 years. So a lot of my connections are still in the education realm. And anyone with kids, Vida will tell you, kids are like sponges. They soak up everything that they see and twice as many things that they hear. And as an educator and as a teacher, you are in the forefront of these young individuals' minds 8 hours of the day. And even though I'm not in the classroom right now, I actually took a position as a marketing director. A lot of that influence still remains. I'm still connected with a lot of my high school students on TikTok. I'm still a dance coach. So that visibility is always there. And it really just reminds me that even when I don't think I'm inspiring someone, I am. And if it's one person, it's probably 10 people. So it reminds me that even if I'm not wearing my crown, I'm at work, I'm not wearing it right now, I'm still Ms. Florida. I'm still USOA, Ms. Polk County. And that means something, that matters. And it just reminds me to always wear that invisible crown. And then my day to day, like I mentioned, I am a marketing director, a corporate marketing director for a veterinary hospital here in Central Florida. And I meet people all day. That's my job, is to make connections and tell stories, whether it's with my pet families or if I'm connecting with my RDVMs. Those are the people who refer clients to us for surgery. If I'm connecting with small business owners in my community, they are going to get that Jasmine Johnson that is Ms. Florida. And they may not see that crown, but they're going to see my character. So I think that is probably the most pivotal way that it affects my everyday life, is that now when I walk into a building, I'm thinking on a national level. I'm no longer thinking about Polk County, my community, and the title that I was representing then. My platform is a lot higher now. And so that means a lot more to me, I guess you could say.
Okay, and you just dropped another little nugget. Say that again. If it's one, it's 10. Wait, what did you say? Because
if you're inspiring one person, you're probably inspiring 10 people. It's visibility. A lot of times we don't see the people that we're reaching, and of course they may not tell you how they feel about you, or how you make them feel, or how you have inspired them, but they're watching. And when you affect one person, you're creating effectual and positive change for many people. That one person is going to go and touch so many other lives just because you inspired them.
Excellent. I'm stealing that too. Okay. All right. And so how about you, Miss Tiffany? And forgive me, I'm gonna kind of adjust the question a little bit. I mean, you are Miss Florida, which I assume means that you are not married. Do you think that I'm gonna, like I said, don't get mad at me, but or you can, whatever. But do you think that allows you to have a little bit more fun with it, or is it, I'm just going to shut up now and just let you answer however you want, and you can get mad at me all you want.
So I do not have the responsibility of a husband or child. So I have a little bit more freedom in my life. I sell cars for a living. And so I do that a lot. I'm at work a lot, but all of my appearances and things that I will be doing are already things that I have been doing. So I go to a lot of car shows and Jeep meetups. I go to anything that Tread Lightly is promoting within the state of Florida, whether that's a cleanup, or right now we're trying to restore the signs in the Ocala National Forest, or if it's, an all girls, Jeep meetup, I'm there and just trying to promote everything that I'm doing. But it's really cool that I get to have that moment with them. But thankfully, it's already stuff that I've been doing, and I don't have to plan as much as Vida does, but I am naturally a planner, so I kind of do anyways.
Okay, excellent. And so I'm going to, since I have you, I'm going to ask you my next question first. Okay, so I'm just curious, what was your onstage question?
My onstage question was, Serena Williams has recently announced she will be coming off of the tennis court. She has been an inspiration to many women around the world. How do you hope to inspire women?
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, by the way, is there a way for me to see these questions from y'all and see your responses like online? Is there a way for me to easily do that?
I believe it was videotaped. I just don't think they've released the video yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not gonna ask you what you answered because I'll probably get way too emotional, and I don't want to. I have a rule: there's no crying in podcasting, so so I'm not gonna do that. I'm just curious to know what the answers are, but I assume that you said something positive about Queen Serena, right?
Yes. So I gave my own feedback on what my goals are, what I'm looking to achieve, and how I'm going to achieve them. But I also brought it back to Serena and just told my judges, I have no plans of stepping off of the tennis court anytime soon. This is something I've been working on for a really long time, and I continue to look and work towards it. So unlike Serena, I'm going to keep running with it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Excellent. All right, Mrs. Vida, what was your question?
My question was centered around Ann Pennington. She was one of our reigning national title holders. And the question was centered around how much work that she's done in her community and balancing being a national title holder. How do I plan to balance my title as well if I was given the title of USOA Mrs. Florida? So I pretty much spoke about what you and I just talked about just how I've mapped out my year already with my husband, my support system, and just having him by my side is the way I'm able to do what I've done and how I'm going to be able to catapult that as Mrs. Florida.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. All right. And how about you, Jasmine?
My question was about the qualities that it takes to represent as a queen and as a state representative. And for me, in my experience, it's the qualities that it takes to be a queen and a state representative are the same qualities that it takes to do well on your job or do well in school or achieve a goal or learn a new language. It's perseverance. It's having a goal and creating measurable outcomes to achieve it. And it's believing in yourself. And I found all of those qualities on my journey to learning about trauma and overcoming sexual assault. And I'll tell you that, I'm not going to cry. I'll tell you though that the qualities that it takes far outweigh the pageant stage. When we're competing, people see the gown, they see the crown, and they might even see the fun activities that we do. But it's everything behind closed doors. That's what makes a true queen. It's looking inside of yourself, taking that true look in the mirror and finding out what makes you tick and what makes you unique and what pushes you forward. And that is what I shared on stage. And yes, that is what I take with me every day.
Wow. Let's continue with you, Jasmine. You guys have all touched on this, but I want to get into any more specifics because I want to make sure that we don't end this interview without each of you saying anything you want about this topic. Help me connect pageantry with female empowerment.
Okay, so I'm just going to preface this before I answer. I'm not putting any political or views into this, but there is a wage gap. Women have historically received their rights, like the right to vote, the right to work, fair wages, all of these things. They have put us years behind our male counterparts. And that's just one thing. Education. That's another important thing that before pageantry, women would not have had as big of an arena to share their accomplishments. And then again, I'm a Black woman. That's something that is always going to supersede me before I ever open my mouth. People will see that. Pageantry has given Black women an opportunity to compete in a realm where we otherwise may not have even been invited. I know growing up, I was one of the only African-American girls in a lot of the pageants that I competed with. And I remember watching Miss USA and seeing the first Black Miss USA being crowned. And of course, I wasn't, alive back then, but, being able to see these videos and the representation, I think that that's all important. So when you're talking about women's empowerment, pageantry gives us a realm to compete in where we may not have otherwise been able to. And another statistic is that you are more likely to have a son play in the Super Bowl than to have a daughter win a prestigious national title like Miss America or Miss USA or Miss USOA. That's already an empowering thing because these are opportunities, again, that we may not have otherwise had.
Well, hot damn. Okay. How do you really feel, Jasmine? Man, okay. I'm gonna let that marinate. Okay, Miss Tiffany, same question. How do you connect pageantry with female empowerment?
So being in pageantry, now I'm new to pageantry. This was only my second pageant I've ever done.
Okay.
But I had an amazing experience at my first pageant.
Pretty good track record.
Yeah, right. I'm doing pretty good so far. I had this amazing experience at my first pageant. Now, mind you, I went into it completely unprepared. I knew nothing. I did nothing, and I just bought a sparkly gown. But when I left it, I had made new friends. The girl who had even won my division, we're still friends to this day, and we talk to each other regularly. And I felt so, I think the word might be fulfilled and empowered, and like my cup was full in that moment. And I work around only men. So often they drain my cup a lot of the time. So having that moment where all of these beautiful, amazing, accomplished women and listening to them and their stories, really, it fueled me back up and it gave me a burning passion to do something. And that's when I decided on what my platform would be and how I could help other women. So my goal is to inspire other women to live adventurously and off-road responsibly. And I do it in two ways. So I have my Instagram where I share all of my adventures. I am constantly doing something crazy, whether it's jumping out of a plane, or, I'll go pole dancing sometimes. I'm always doing something really weird and off the wall. And I share that there so I can show women, no matter who you are, what you're doing, you can do this too. But I also have my own YouTube series. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Off-Roading Etiquette. And I've partnered with a few local off-roading companies in my area to make it. And there, if a woman's goal is to be adventurous through off-roading, she can watch that and she can learn how to do it. And it's a little bit more digestible because it comes from a woman. And they're really short videos and really basic things, because you'd be surprised how many people buy a 4x4 vehicle and have no idea how to put it in 4x4 or how to even tie straps to it. And so my goal is to just really break it down in a non-judgmental way and give them the tools that they need to go and live as adventurously as they want. I'm really lucky that in my life, I've never felt like there was something I couldn't do. And as I've grown older, I've realized that there are a lot of women that do. They feel like they can't apply for that job. They can't go and, jump out of a plane for whatever reason. They feel like they can't go to the salsa class. And I've never felt like that. So I want to show other women that there really is nothing stopping you, no matter what that is that you want to do.
Wow. So much to unpack there. And I could ask you a ton of questions about several of those things you mentioned, quite frankly. But we don't have time for that. So I'm just going to say that the one thing I pull from that is one word, which is joy. All these different experiences and the things that you do, you're feeding your joy, regardless of your gender. And I think that's very empowering. I love that. That's great. And on behalf of men around the world, please, let's stop draining the cups of these women. Okay. Let them be their best selves, happy wife, happy life, happy girl, happy world. That's what I always say. All right.
That's right.
I like that one. Stealing that.
I get
Some words of wisdom.
I get to drop some nuggets too, All right. Now we know who's up to bat now, Mrs. Vida. So tell me about, just go.
I think my sister queens, hit the nail on the head when it comes to women empowerment and pageantry. But just to piggyback off of what they stated, for me personally, pageants is literally a foundation for showcasing women empowerment as a whole. But not only that, diversity and intelligence and leadership holistically. If you think about the areas of competition when it comes to a pageant, you not only have swimsuit, you have evening gown, you have the infamous onstage question, you have interview, so that's the intelligence piece. You're having an opportunity to speak up and speak out on things you believe in tremendously. But not only that, women who take part in pageants have utilized this foundation, and they've created their own platforms to empower other women and other individuals. And I will go as far as to say some have even utilized pageantry to catapult their careers. I know for me personally, just being able to sit in certain rooms and shake certain hands have given me an opportunity to catapult myself in my career as a professional. And I know with the whole realm of pageantry, just me being able to walk into a room, it could be a room full of dignitaries, and I am confident enough to know who I am and what I have to say and speak up and speak out if necessary. And I honestly feel like the empowerment of pageantry have given me and afforded me that opportunity.
I love that. So the national competition's coming up. When is that? What does that entail? How many people are involved? School me, Mrs. Vida.
Yes, we are all excited about nationals coming up. The actual date will be the last week of March, first week of April.
Is you against 49 other people?
That's the plan. We are pushing to have every state represented. There will definitely be at-large delegates there. So the specific number hasn't been released as of yet, but this has been the fastest growing system out there. So
wait, I'm confused.
Why would it,
sorry to interrupt, but why would it not be 49 other people?
Well, in pageantry, you typically have to have things called state pageants or prelims to nationals, right? So you may have a Florida state pageant, we just had our Pennsylvania, New Jersey, what have you, but then there are other states that may not have a state director. So you could have a representative come at large to represent that state. So say, for instance, South Carolina, they don't host a state pageant. They would send a representative to represent that state. However, if there isn't a representative at hand, then that state will not be represented at nationals.
All right. Be honest. You want everyone represented or fewer less competition? Come on. Keep it real.
Everyone. I'm being completely transparent with you only because, and hear me out when I say this, I absolutely love everything the system stands upon. It's about empowering, inspiring, and uplifting. That's actually the motto. And I feel every state should be represented on this national title. I've competed in a number of different systems, and this one hits home for me. And I would love to see it catapult and to continue to grow. I love what the national director, Tinas, has done. I love what she's doing. And I just can't wait to see where it goes from here. So to be completely transparent with you, I would love to see every state represented.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Now, let's start with who am I gonna pick on first? All right, let's see. Let's start with Ms.Jasmine. All right. What is the best thing about being a pageant winner, and what is the most annoying?
The best thing about being a pageant winner for me definitely is all of the connections and relationships that you make. I had a pageant director tell me that your sister queens are not your competition. They're going to be your best friends. They're going to be in your wedding. They're going to be there when you have your first child. You're going to celebrate holidays together. And that's 100% true. Some of my best friends are my pageant sisters, and we literally have grown up together and have been competing with each other probably since we're 8 or 9. So I think that's probably my favorite thing about it. And then my least favorite part and I already know what this is the cleanup after a pageant. I don't know about you ladies, but I absolutely hate unpacking all of my bags after a pageant. Like they will stay in my glam room until I need something again.
Okay. All right. Miss Tiffany, go.
Yeah, Jasmine was completely right. So best part is all the connections and friends that you get to make through it, whether you turn those into, professional relationships or they just stay in the pageant world. That's the best part, is getting to meet all of these women and growing with them. And definitely the worst part is unpacking, putting your stuff away, having to do all of it, because at the end you kind of just throw everything inside of a bag and it's all messed up and you can't find your mascara and there's just so much.
But don't you have someone to help you? Like, are you there by yourself? Like, what? Like,
that's
what's
the
up?
thing.
You're by yourself for the most part.
And not even that. That's why it's so important to make those connections and, and really get to know your sister queens, because those are the ones that are helping you backstage. Vida can attest to it. Like, we were backstage helping each other put dresses on, checking to see which earrings look good, hair, you name it. Like, we are helping each other backstage.
Okay. Interesting. Mrs. Vida, what's your response?
I'm going to be completely transparent with you and be honest.
I see a recurring theme here. All right.
Okay. For me, the best part of pageantry, aside from the connections that I'm able to make with so many amazing women, the best part for me is just having a mommy week. As a mother, every day of my life is catering to someone else, whether it be my children, my husband, the household, my cheerleaders. I'm always giving of myself, even as a philanthropist. I'm always giving of myself and my time. But during pageant week, it's really about me. And as selfish as that may sound, like, I just love it. I'm able to dress up. I have someone do my hair and makeup. I don't have to make snacks for school. And it's great. I love everything about it. But I would have to say, I wouldn't say it's annoying, but it's unfortunate. Sometimes just having to explain the different systems, like with this system or the United States of America's Mrs. Florida. Well, are you Mrs. United States or are you Mrs. America? No, I'm the United States of America's Mrs. Florida. And just having to explain that there are various systems. We're all here for the same purpose, but there are different systems and, there's different mottos. So just having to explain that and go into detail of what that looks like can be a little bit sometimes.
I had to do a little bit of my due diligence ahead of time so I wouldn't have to ask you so many annoying questions, but I know that I know that my audience, would like to know the difference. And so, but you guys have done a great job to, make those distinctions. Does the process kind of facilitate the three of you becoming friends? Do you guys talk to each other? Do you get to know each other, or you guys kind of do your own thing? And I'm not saying good or bad. I'm just curious.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's the beauty of this. I think my sister Jasmine said it, the girl gang. We're the Florida girl gang. But no, I think that makes it a little bit sweeter going to nationals and experiencing this year is having 2 and potentially 3 amazing women by your side supporting you, whether it be, hey, what do you think about this gown? Or what accessory should I do with this? Or even if it's day to day, if you just need a shoulder, to someone to talk to, or, a shoulder to cry on, or just some advice, or just a pick me up when you're at nationals. I don't know if you've probably never experienced it, but not in pageantry, but if you're somewhere for a week, it's high intensity. Like it's intense, it's nonstop. Just having a sister queen there to encourage you, to give you a hug, to take that selfie with, it makes a drastic change for you. So, I know personally, I'm extremely grateful to have both of my sister queens, Tiffany and Jasmine, along this journey with me. And I look forward to just making lasting memories and a lasting relationship with both of them.
Excellent. Anything to add, Miss Tiffany?
She's very right. I think the cool part is we have a group chat where we talk almost daily in it.
Oh, wow.
Updating each other on what we're doing. And we try to do as much as we can together. So if we have an event coming up or get invited to something, just reaching out to our sister queens and inviting them along with us, because one crown at an event is really cool. But how about 3 crowned queens there showing up, the attention that can bring to not only the event, but to your own personal platform is really cool. So we try to do as much as we possibly can together and just really bond and get to share all of these experiences with each other.
Excellent. All right. And what about you, Jasmine?
I'd say that even if we were competing against each other, we would still be friends. And for me, this is my first time competing with the USOA organization. And I've competed many other systems before, but what's so unique about USOA is that the women aren't cutthroat, they're just not. Everybody was so sweet, so nice, so welcoming, genuine. After rehearsals, we walked downtown to go get smoothies together. We actually are friends. And I think that that's beautiful. A lot of times you get a group of women together and people just inherently think that there's cattiness or, and someone's just going to be rude or mean or nasty, but that is not the case at all here. And definitely not the case with this 3 group of fabulous women. We have each other's backs. We support each other whenever we have something going on. We're the first ones to say, yeah, let me know, whatever you need. Let me know how I can support you. And I love that. I think when we go to Vegas, we're going to already be so compatible with each other that when we get there, it's just going to make that difference. And like Vida said, when you're doing something for an entire week, it's intense and it's long. You need that little bit of pick me up. And what better way to get that than from your girl best friend,
I'm loving all of this because I firmly believe that women have the ability to run the world if they have more girl power and if they could form more girl gangs and embrace their sister queens more. And you mentioned the cattiness and all that stuff. All that stuff needs to go away. The word catty doesn't exist among bros. So just let that marinate. All right. So, he thinks he's cute.
I hope you're saving all of these Instagram captions because you are dropping some bars right now.
So all right, last question. All right. Now I could talk forever with you guys. You guys are making me so happy. I'm in the middle of these, a very, very stressful time at the moment, and I'm just taking a break to talk to you, and you've gone above and beyond bringing me joy today. So this is the Florida Fresh Mix podcast. We're exclusively Florida based. So I want to end on something that's uniquely Florida, which is reminding our listeners that, listen, Miss Tiffany is from Tampa. Shout outs to Tampa. Whoop, whoop. Ms.Jasmine is from Winter Haven. And Mrs. Vida is from Boynton Beach. And I have family in Boynton Beach. I grew up in Boca. I'm very familiar. And so, this is the Florida Fresh Mix. We're keeping it real. Here's my question for each of you. What, in your mind, makes Florida unique, both good and bad? And I'm going to pick on, let me see, Miss Tiffany first.
So I think the part that makes us unique is we live in the most beautiful state in the entire world. And
can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to live where people vacation. It's so amazing. And we have such a culture here too. I think a lot of states, you can always kind of pinpoint, this is where they're from, this is their accent, and this is, their views for whatever they are. But when you come to Florida, we have such a mix of people from everywhere, whether they now live here full time, are snowbirds, or they're just visiting. We have an amazing mix of people, an amazing mix of culture here. So a lot of people try to pinpoint my accent and have a really hard time from it. And I just tell them I'm from Florida. And that Florida's in the South. I'm like, Florida is not the South. It is very different. But kind of the most annoying is the Florida man. While I find the Florida man very entertaining, he kind of brings a bad light, but it's never boring when the Florida man comes up on the news.
Well, shout out to Florida Man News, which is a podcast on this network. And so we should actually include a link in the show notes to that as well, because it is very embarrassing. I mean, there's no Kansas man, there's no New York man, there's no California man. It's just us, because
it's just us.
We're the only ones. And this literally, I live in South Beach. We're the only ones that can tell a story like, right down the street from me on this highway, a zombie ate someone's face. Like that's an actual true story that happened literally within a mile of me. So, Florida man, it's very embarrassing. Yeah. Anyway, yes, we do have an eclectic mix of people that come here. You might even say it's a fresh mix of people. So I think that's exactly right. Okay, let's head over to Mrs. Vida.
Okay, I am a true Floridian. I've lived in every region of Florida, North Florida, Central Florida, and now South Florida. So I am a huge, avid Florida fan. What I love most about it, to be completely honest with you, is just how culturally diverse we are. I think Tiffany spoke a little bit about that. You can literally travel around the world without needing a passport being here in Florida. You're going to come across people from all walks of life, different religions, different backgrounds. And I love that. Like, I can appreciate that.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it. I never thought about it that way. Travel around the world without... Yeah, I love that. I've expressed it to people, like, you've got everybody that comes here, but I've never thought about it the way you just expressed it. I love that.
And you don't have to wait 4 to 6 weeks for a passport. Just come to Florida. Okay, so the bad part. I wouldn't say bad, but the negative part of Florida would have to be, well, I'm a clinician, a mental health therapist, so I'm always assessing things. So for Florida, I've literally deemed it as bipolar weather. We have the most bipolar weather here in Florida, especially South Florida. It'll be raining, and then 5 minutes later, the sun is shining, and then it's going to rain and the sun's going to be shining. So you just never know what you're going to get when you're here in Florida. So the bipolar weather is the downside, but just how awesome and culturally diverse we are. I love that about it.
Bipolar weather is yet another. I'm wondering if I think this is the interview. I think you guys have broken the record of the most phrases that I'm going to steal. Bipolar weather. I'm definitely stealing that. And, I'm from Haiti, and there's a saying in Haiti that, and this, I've only seen it happen in Florida, that it's sunny and it's raining at the same time. In Haiti, there's a saying for that in Creole, which I can't say in Creole, but in English, the translation is that whenever it's raining while the sun is out,
it's beating his wife, right? I've heard that.
Oh, you knew that.
Yes, that's something that was told to me.
And I know this is about female empowerment, and we do not promote anyone beating wives. Okay, but
let's just go ahead and say that. Let's be clear.
Yeah, just to be clear. All right, but I'm pretty surprised you know that, and I love it.
Yes, I told you I love the different cultures. I do my homework.
All right, Jasmine, you're up.
Probably one of the best things about Florida is the abundance of activities there are to do. If you're a Disney fan, there's Disney. If you love the beaches, you're no more than 2 hours away from a beach. There's parks. We have national parks to go to. There's nature reserves. There's so much to do here. If you love shopping, we have some of the best shopping. So you never run out of activities. You honestly cannot be bored in Florida. And the tourists definitely benefit from that. And then probably one of the detractors would be inflation. People are constantly moving here. Our real estate market is booming, but we've also seen the cost of a lot of our activities that we so love here in Florida going up as well. So I think that can kind of be a double-edged sword for people who live here, who are native Floridians, who enjoy these activities year round, but don't necessarily want to pay inflated prices. So I think that sometimes that's just one of those things that you deal with. If you want to enjoy the Florida weather, you want to enjoy the Florida sun and all the activities, that's kind of something that comes along with it. But I'm a Florida girl. I was born and raised here, so I really can't imagine living anywhere else, no matter how much it costs.
Okay, Jasmine, I don't know if you're interviewing to be a cable news host or whatever, but that was very insightful. Okay, all right. I agree with you, but hot damn, that was detailed and very, very serious. All right, I love it. I think it's great. Okay, you heard it here first. Jasmine Knightley. Okay, it's just
Speak it into existence. I would love to be a news host.
Exactly. All right, no problem. All right. Well, listen, I have loved this so much. I appreciate y'all so much, but I just want to open it up and just give you one last chance to just say anything you want. I mean, you all are very special. I feel very blessed to have you on my show, and I just want to leave it up to you to say absolutely anything. So let's start with Miss Tiffany. Please say anything that you want to share.
I think I would just remind other women that you can do anything that you want in the world. And if there's something in the back of your mind that you've been telling yourself, I would love to do that. I would love to try it, but I'm not sure how. I don't know, how to. I don't have the money to. How would I even go about it? Do it. Go and do it. Getting to go on adventures and do all these crazy things makes me so fulfilled in my life. And I want other women to feel like that, even if it's signing up for a pageant, which for me was absolutely crazy. But go and do it and try it. You don't have to win, but go and have fun and experience it. And you get to meet these amazing women along with it who become your best friends. And like Jasmine said, they'll be at your wedding and they will be there for the birth of your child. Go and fill up your cup. It's the best part of all of this. It's why we're here.
Fill up your cup. Yet another nugget. I love that. And sometimes, I would just add, sometimes you win even in just the trying. Mm-hmm. And so, and I took that from what you just said. I love it. How about you, Jasmine?
The one thing I would like to leave is that the 1 in 5 statistic has taught me a lot. It's mostly shown me that traumatic experiences do not have to define you. How you respond to them, that will define you. And they don't have to hold you back either. I know what it's like to count myself out. I know what it's like to not show up, to say, you know what, this just isn't for me. This isn't my time. This is not my day. And those are just lies that we tell ourselves. Those are obstacles that we create for ourselves. And there's nothing more limiting than your own mind. So if there's something you want to do, like Tiffany said, you go and you do it. If it's a pageant, if it's off-roading, if it's dancing, if it's learning a new language, whatever it is, whatever your mission, your goal is, whatever it is you want to accomplish, you yourself have everything that you need to achieve it. It all starts with your mind.
I love it. Can we get this interview to Oprah? I'm serious, because Oprah might be like, hot damn. All right. Okay. So, y'all are dropping some serious knowledge. No pressure, Vida. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have to follow behind that, huh? Okay. No, just to be completely honest, I would like to first start off by just saying thank you for first having us on your podcast. I think this is awesome. It's given us all an opportunity to have our voices heard. I would like to thank my state director, Britt, for organizing this, and the USOA system for affording us this opportunity. So that's first for me. And then lastly, as a clinician, I've worked in the field of mental health for over a decade, and it hits home for me. So the last thing I would like to leave with you, that it's definitely okay not to be okay. If you are suffering from anything, whether it be anxiety, depression, going through a divorce, transitioning to a new home, whatever it may be, it's okay not to be okay. And there's help there. There's therapists, there's resources. Like I said before, working with the National Alliance on Mental Illness, we supply all of those resources for those individuals and family members. So don't be afraid to reach out and seek help, because we've all been there. I've been there, and there's help there. So that's the first step, is taking that first step towards reaching help. So it's okay not to be okay. We're here. We're in this together. And again, thank you so much for having all three of us on your show.
Well, it's completely my pleasure, because I get nuggets of wisdom and inspiration. And yes, it is okay not to be okay. And I think that that's something that was particularly highlighted while we were all in shutdown. And, it put a highlight on mental health, I think more than ever, consistently. And I think if we're going to pull something positive from that perspective, from the COVID pandemic, is that, mental health became easier to access remotely,
Sure,
on your phone, et cetera, et cetera. So listen, there is no shame in that. And listen, I'm from the Caribbean, and there are certain stigmas, whether it's in the, generally, or in the Caribbean community, or in the Black diaspora in general, against, mental health, et cetera. Look, that's just garbage. If you need help, just get help, because the alternative of not getting help is too dire.
absolutely.
And on that, I want to say thank you all so much. And I'm at a loss for words. This has meant more to me than you guys can ever imagine. I'm hoping that not only do you guys progress and succeed, and I'm going to be looking forward to following and watching the trajectory, the wonderful trajectory of each of your lives, and some people on cable news. But thank you for blessing me. I really appreciate it, and blessing this podcast. I'm going to have to really let this marinate and think about what I want to say for my fresh take. I think it's going to be the most difficult fresh take I'm going to have to give, because there's just so much that you guys have thrown at me in such a positive, meaningful way. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. This has been amazing. When Britt told us we were going to be doing this, I think everybody was ecstatic, maybe a little bit nervous, because we didn't know what to expect. But honestly, thank you so much for inviting us, because it's opportunities like this that give us a chance to tell our story. And that's what pageantry is all about.
I agree. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
So, to get more information or to contact my three amazing guests, Ms. Tiffany Chavez, Ms. Jasmine Johnson, and Mrs. Vida Hargrett, go to our show notes and get all of their social media information and holla at them. And if you haven't recognized it by this point, that you should get in touch with these lovely ladies who've got brains and beauty and insight, then you're missing out. So holla at them. I highly suggest. Oh my God. Like I said at the end of the interview, I was basically speechless, and that doesn't really happen to me very often, y'all. I mean, listen, these ladies gave me a lot of information I didn't know before. And as most of y'all know already, I try to learn something new every day. But these ladies just bombarded me with truth bombs, okay? I mean, this was so insightful. I learned about pageantry things. It's one thing to watch something on TV. I don't really watch a lot of pageants on TV, but we've all seen some of it, right? And, the behind the scenes, the emotions behind it, the opportunities that can come from it. And you're hearing it straight from the mouths of three winners. Again, I'm giving myself props. Not one, not two, but three. Okay. So what am I supposed to pull from this interview with so much knowledge being dropped, so many nuggets of wisdom being dropped, so much inspiration? And I'm going to have to narrow it down, because I don't want this to go on forever. My fresh take is going to be about this. These ladies had girl power, okay? I heard things I've never heard before, and I wish that these phrases, these terms could disseminate more in society, okay? Girl gang. I've never heard girl gang before. I love it, all right? Girl gang. Get your girl gang, okay? And support each other. Because why are men still running things to the extent that they are, okay? Give men some competition. All right. y'all are just as smart, if not smarter than us. And I'm saying that as a dude. All right. You know what dudes do really well? We stick together. So y'all need to form your own girl gang. Okay. And y'all need to find your sister queens. Okay. Now, I know that they were talking about sister queens in the context of fellow contest winners, but you can apply that to anything. Y'all are all queens in your own way, and find your sister queens and uplift each other. And y'all as a group can set yourselves propelling down a path of success. Nobody can do it alone. Technically, the three of them weren't in competition with each other, but they were talking about how, once you're, in that competition, you're there for hours and days by yourself. And yet all these ladies are helping each other backstage to cry on each other's shoulders, decide what makeup to wear, what dress to wear, et cetera, et cetera. That's girl power, okay? And they don't have to do that. Not a single individual one of them has to do that, but they do it as a group. And that's the way life should work, Support other people, particularly y'all ladies. Support each other. And when they talked about how they would be as close as they are, the three of them, even if they were to actually be competing against each other, I actually believe them. And I bet you that there is an interesting dynamic between the Miss and the Mrs. and the Ms. because they have different life experiences and they're at different points in their lives. Some are married, some are single, some are younger, some are older. And they can all help each other in different ways. And I just love that. Now, girl gang and sister queens are not the only phrases that really resonated with me that I took from this interview that I'm definitely going to let marinate and 100% use in the future, okay? Miss Tiffany talked about people draining her cup. And then later in the interview, she talked about people filling your cup. Now, it sounds simple, but it's true. Don't let people drain your cup. It's your choice, the people you bring into your life and the people you have that can affect your life and your spirit. Think about your cup as your spirit, okay? Your cup should be filled to the brim with joy and support and positivity, okay? Don't let people drain your cup. So I don't want to speak on behalf of Miss Tiffany, but I think that's what she was driving at. And another phrase that really resonated with me is that it's okay not to be okay. We talked about mental health and how mental health, there was such a spotlight on it during the COVID pandemic. And, people need to get over this whole thing like, well, I'm going to be embarrassed if I tell people that I'm having, certain kinds of thoughts. And it's kind of like if you have an infection and you wait too long to see the doctor, that at some point it might be too late. Same thing with mental health. There's nothing to be ashamed of. And anybody that lets you think that there's something to be ashamed of is wrong and a fool, and you need to extricate them from your life, at least until you're ready to have them help you be a better person. Okay? Do you. There's no shame in that game. Go get help. I'll tell you straight up. I see a therapist, and it has changed my life. Had I not done that, then my life would be worse. That's putting it in its simplest form. Okay? There's no shame in that. All right. If you ever want to talk about that, holla at your boy. The other thing is that I loved when Ms.Jasmine said, if you're inspiring one person, you're probably inspiring 10 people. Wow. So we just talked about mental health, and we're talking about things that can help you be your best self, right? Then there might become a moment where you feel like you are your best self. You've been through the trauma and the drama, okay? And you've come out on the other side as a winner. You've come out on the other side having learned something, okay? And things might not be perfect, but you're like, damn, I'm better than I was before. You know what? Share that story. Share that story. Because that story is like, and this is a weird way to describe it, but that story is like an infection. It will spread, but in a positive way. You share that story, it will spread. One person will either tell another or they'll feel it, and through their actions and through their positivity and how they internalize it in order to better themselves, then they will infect another person positively, and on and on and on. So just think about that. And lastly, I have to point out, this is the Florida Fresh Mix. We have some Florida-related nuggets that they shared. I mean, I'm never going to forget bipolar weather. Oh my gosh, bipolar weather. That is so true. I'm going to take that phrase. I'm going to copyright it. And I'm a little bit annoyed that I'm having to share it publicly because somebody might beat me to it. Okay. But bipolar weather. Yes, that is so true. We're in the middle of a hurricane right now. Then tomorrow it's going to be sunny. I bet you. All right. Bipolar weather is a thing, and I'm definitely going to use that in the future. And I encourage y'all to do it as well. And I'm going to leave you with this last phrase. This is the Florida Fresh Mix. I complain about Florida all the time, but I think that Ms. Jasmine succinctly described something that I love about Florida, particularly living in South Beach, Miami, is that you can travel around the world without needing a passport. It summarizes what I've always believed. When I walk around and I meet people on a day-to-day basis, I meet people from South America. I meet people from Canada, all around the country, Europe. Anywhere on any given day, I have no idea whom I'm going to run into and meet, speaking all kinds of languages, etc. And you know how far I have to travel in order to do that? Just leaving my house. That's it. That's my fresh take. That was probably the longest fresh take I've ever done. That's because I was so inspired by so many things that these sister queens taught me in this interview. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to you tuning in to the next episode of Florida's Fresh Mix podcast.
For details and show notes about today's show and our guests, go to freshmixpodcast.com. I'd really love your feedback both on today's guests and on my fresh take. The Florida Podcast Network has a closed Facebook group exclusively for superfans of their shows. Just search for FPN Insiders on Facebook to leave us comments, get early scoops, contests, and other special treats. Or you can just complain about Florida's, I'm just going to say it, hurricanes, okay? Now, at the time of this recording, we're just about to experience Hurricane Ian. So when this is released, I have no idea how it's going to affect my life, other than the fact that I've had to fill up with food and water and batteries and candles and all the other things that we Floridians have to go through. And usually things end up being just fine, but you can never be too careful, right? Anyway, be sure to visit all the great shows on the Florida Podcast Network. You can find them at floridapodcastnetwork.com. Keep catching who's fresh in the Florida Mix with Florida's Fresh Mix podcast.
Flintstone Media has been the digital messaging bedrock of several brands and businesses, serving as a highly resourceful podcast production house and consultancy firm for over 6 years. Visit flintstonemedia.com for podcast samples. From show development and setup through recording and distribution, work with a leader in the industry and add a new podcast to your brand's content offerings. That's flintstonemedia.com.